Attention, troops. It is Darth Optimus, of course. And in honor of the new Transformers movie, I have decided to transform this channel into the new Transformers headquarters.
Too short for a stormtrooper?
What? What? Do you guys think I was kidding? I'm not joking. The new Transformers movie is coming up really soon, man. We have got to get geared up, guys. Transformation has got to happen on this channel. I have got to be a Transformers man. I've got to cover the Transformers mania. It's impossible not to. We must transform ourselves. Alright, that thing smells like an old garage. How do you like that, huh? Pretty cool, right? Yeah, actually, I picked this up at a yard sale. Somebody was practically just like giving this thing away. I picked it up for like, I think it was like $10 or something like that. The voice changer still works and everything. But I think what I'm going to do is, and I want your help with this, guys, is I think I'm going to modify this helmet and actually start to, for once in my life, create my own Star Wars cosplay costume for going out. And I thought, you know, I saw this at a yard sale and I was like, wow, like that's awesome. I could totally take this and just modify it somehow, you know, and make it into like my own helmet. So if you guys have got any ideas on how I can modify this thing, you know, like what I can do, how to take it apart, to add parts to it, if you guys have got any ideas, please share all of your thoughts down below in the Great White Void, and yeah, help me get started on my costume. So guys, today we are officially at 185 days left until episode 8, and for today's news, we've got kind of a sparse news day today. There wasn't that much information, but we've got a couple of really amazing stories that I want to share with you guys. But before I get started here, I did want to give a shout out here to the IE Squad Jawas. If you guys don't know who the IE Squad Jawas are, they actually won second place at the Star Wars cosplay competition this year in the group category. They, to me, were the most entertaining part about the cosplay competition this year at Celebration. Unfortunately, these guys don't have a YouTube page as far as I can tell. They only have a Twitter page and a Facebook page, and I'll link those down below. Now, very surprisingly, these guys have less followers than I do on Twitter and Facebook. I haven't run into that in a long time. I thought I was one of the lesser people in the world. The IE Squad Jowers, they don't have hardly any followers on Twitter, hardly any followers on Facebook. Guys, please check out the links that I'm going to link down below. Head over there and follow the IE Squad Jowers because they are the best. You guys are going to fall in love with them as soon as you start discovering who they are and what they do. And make sure you tell them the short stormtrooper sent you. Now, for the next piece of news up today, we're actually going to be talking about the famous Star Wars Battlefront 2. I'm sure you guys got a chance to sit down on Saturday and check out EA's entire live stream in which they featured basically a half hour or 20 minutes or so of uninterrupted Star Wars Battlefront 2. And let me tell you guys, it was such a pleasure to be there watching. I mean, how cool was it to be in Theed? You know, this isn't Star Wars Battlefront 2 from PS2. This is new Star Wars Battlefront. We were in Theed, playing as battle droids and jump troopers and AAT tanks and everything. I mean, it was so amazing to see all of the battle droids and the equipment and the armored tanks and the transports and all of the N1 starfighters and the V-wings and the vulture droids, dogfighting in the air and stuff like that. I mean, it was better than I could have dreamed of. And I'm going to be rewatching some of that content. I mean, for the next week, I think I'm just going to be keeping those live streams on, just absorbing that, and I cannot wait to actually sit down and start to actually watch someone play just hours and hours of something like an Assault on Theed for just days on end. But we did actually get another very juicy piece of information, actually a huge reveal coming from John Boyega himself, who once again, as he so famously usually is doing nowadays. He just kind of like crashes whatever event, whatever Star Wars event is going on. He'll just come in and he'll crash it to give some kind of a special announcement. And this time, the announcement that he gave is that Finn and Phasma are confirmed to be playable characters in Star Wars Battlefront 2. And not only that, but we're going to be playing with them on the new location of Crate, the new planet where the AT-AT and the Gorilla Walkers and the Skimmers are about to meet for this giant battle and this giant assault. We're going to get to play as Finn and Phasma and on that planet as well. And the DLC is going to be free, and it's coming up obviously this holiday season. So please look forward to that. Now for this next story up today, we've got something coming from StarWarsNewsNet.com, and that's actually a really cool picture of Donald Glover and Woody Harrelson out, having some drinks at a restaurant or something like that, and somebody snapped a picture. But what's really, really cool about this specific picture is that we can actually get a look at Donald Glover's official Lando Calrissian mustache. So take a look. So what do you guys think there? I mean, for me, you guys have heard me say countless times before that I actually think that Donald Glover might be pretty good casting for Lando because he looks exactly like him. And once again, in this picture, especially with this mustache, you can really see that he's got this look. He's got that Lando Calrissian look going on, and I think it's spot on. I think Donald Glover is incredibly talented. You guys got to remember, he's a writer, he's a director, he's an actor. He's also an incredibly talented musician as well. So I think that he's going to bring a very, very well-rounded dynamic to this role, and I'm very, very excited to see what he's going to bring. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think he looks like Lando even more now with the mustache, or even less? For the next piece of news today, we actually have quite a revealing story coming from my channel monitor Andrew, who pointed this out to me. This is probably going to be the most revealing article of the entire day. Now, this is actually some unofficial pictures. They look like they could be official, but for right now they kind of look unofficial. But nevertheless, there's some pictures of the Gorilla Walkers, of the Praetorian Guards, and the Executioner Troopers as well, and their new weapons. So take a look at this. So as you guys can see there, obviously a slew of information there to be taken away from these pictures. First and foremost, we'll talk about the walkers first. Now these walkers, you'll notice that they're not labeled as Gorilla Walkers or anything, but their official name is actually the AT-M6. I believe that says the M6 on the end of that. Now this is really interesting because this is the first time that we've seen walkers labeled with numbers. Usually it's AT-AT, AT-ST, AT-RT, something like that. It's all numbers. This is pretty much the first time that we've seen a new walker that's listed with a number instead of a letter. So is the number pertaining to the number of guns around its around all the gun turrets around its body? Is it pertaining to an extra set of legs that it has that we haven't seen yet? I don't know. What do you guys think? But then, of course, next up we get a picture of the Executioner Troopers. Finally, of course, they've got the brown, the dark stripe down their eye, and also the electro weapons. It almost looks like a vibro axe or something. They've got two ends, 4 points out of the end, and then an almost like an energy binding between the two ends. So that's definitely going to mess a lot of people up if you get hit by that for sure. And I want to see how they're going to utilize these Executioner Troopers with Captain Phasma. How do they operate with Captain Phasma? And then obviously, the biggest takeaway here is the new Praetorian Guards that are going to be seen in Episode 8. Now obviously, these are the new versions of the Royal Guards. As you guys can see by their outfit, very, very strange outfits. Apparently these guys have got domed helmets. There's no visor, there's no view port. There's nothing for their eyes to view through as far as we can see. It's a solid red domed faceplate, and then they've got very samurai-like armor, futuristic samurai kind of armor with the individual plating and the individual bumps all the way down the red armor and of course the domed face. But most interesting here for me, the most interesting takeaway for me was the weapon that these Praetorian Guards have, or at least this one, because we did hear previous news stories about the Praetorian Guards having different weapons, having nunchucks and throwing stars and stuff like that. This particular weapon here, though, is very, very interesting. What it is it's like a giant blade. It almost looks like a really, really large kitchen knife or a really, really large hunting knife or something like that. This huge blade on the end. But if you guys notice, it actually has this pink blowtorch kind of thing that's like going up the front of the blade. So the blade's like right here, and then it has a pink blowtorch like going off like this aside. So I'm assuming that they use it to burn through things or to cut through things almost like a lightsaber. Could it be a miniature version of a lightsaber? Could it be like almost like a 6-inch or a 5-inch lightsaber blade or something like that they just use for cutting through objects? I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys just saw all of these designs, so please leave all of your thoughts and opinions down below in the Great White Void. Now this next story that I've got for you guys today is something just extremely fascinating. It's just something so awesome. It's actually an artist's interpretation of this sea monster that is apparently going to be living on the coast of Ahch-To. So take a look at this. Now this of course is coming from StarWarsNewsNet.com, and what this artist has drawn here is basically what he saw on the set of Ahch-To, or what he believes is going to be appearing on the coastline of Ahch-To. Now apparently this creature is supposed to be about 9 feet tall, which is plenty of height to fit at 2 or 3 people inside there to do a nice animatronic kind of puppet, which I assume they would do. I hope they're doing real animatronics and not CG for this monster. Now what it looks to me, it looks like to be some big white hairy sea monster basically. It almost looks like what a wampa would look like if they lived in the sea. It's got this nice long kind of elegant flowing body with these big white arms and this big white head with what appears to be long locks of white hair kind of flowing off its body. And from what I can tell, it looks to me like it's on top of like a rock ledge on Ahch-To, and it's preparing to jump into the ocean. Are we going to get to see this? Is this a scene out of the movie where Rey comes around the corner and she sees the sea monster on the side of Ahch-To, and she's like, oh, and it's almost like encountering a moose or something like that in the wildlife. You kind of just stop and just stare and like, oh wow, like look at that thing, and then we kind of see it majestically leap into the ocean and then swim off, and it's kind of like this cool little moment. Do I think this is going to be a main focus of the movie? No, this is just a side character. It's just something that we're going to encounter on Ahch-To, but it's going to be really, really cool. But please, tell me guys, does this remind you of anything? Does this, from the EU, from the expanded universe, or anything that we've seen before? What are your ideas on this new sea monster of Ahch-To? For our next news story up today, we've got something coming from Dork Side of the Force. I've always loved that name. Now what they are covering is actually a tweet coming directly from Dave Filoni on his birthday. Now it's a drawing actually that he tweeted out with a little explanation below it. So take a look at this. So obviously, as you guys can see in this drawing, Dave took the time to label all of the characters. Obviously, he labeled the wolf, he labeled the owl, and then he labeled Ahsoka, not the wolf. So unfortunately, this is a big bummer for me personally, because many of you guys know that I just did a theory about Ahsoka possibly being the wolf, because I thought that would be really cool. I honestly thought that would be a really great direction for Dave Filoni to take the character of Ahsoka Ahsoka, because we last left her. She apparently perished inside this temple, right, to Vader. And then I thought, well, what a cool way to bring her back. We make her the spirit animal. You turn her into this wolf who's like the spirit animal and this guide to Ezra and Kanan and to the rest of the crew. Well, now apparently Dave Filoni has confirmed that Ahsoka is not the wolf. And I gotta say that, like I said, I thought it was a really cool idea to make her a wolf. And what I'm wondering now is, how are they going to handle this if she's still alive? Because if she's still alive and she just kind of comes back for season 4, well then what was the fight in season 3? What was the finale of season 3 about? All of a sudden all of the weight of the final battle between her and Vader is kind of lifted because she ended up surviving the battle. And so she didn't sacrifice herself. She didn't transform into the Force. She didn't do anything significant. She's still alive. So I'm curious as to how they're going to handle that. But what do you guys think about Ahsoka not being the wolf? Now she is confirmed by Dave Filoni himself to not be the wolf. So now, what direction do you want to see Ahsoka be taken in Rebels Season 4? And finally, for our last news story up today, guys, we've got something coming from cinemablend.com, who had a chance to sit down and talk to Colin Trevorrow about Episode 9, and in particular, Leia. Now, very interestingly, he made these comments when talking about bringing Princess Leia possibly back for Episode 9, so listen to this. He says, quote, "There is only certain things that he is willing to do or consider with that character in Episode 9. So this is interesting because, like the article points out, this seems to suggest that they're actually still playing around with the idea of incorporating Leia some way in Episode 9. Now, obviously, we know that Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy have said a number of times that they are not planning on bringing Leia back, the CGI Leia back anyway, in Episode 9, and all of us fans are very, very thankful for that. But this seems to kind of suggest that Colin Trevorrow is still trying to find a way that he can incorporate at least the character of Leia in Episode 9 some way, like a mention or something like that, or she's in charge of an operation that we don't see or something like that. But once again, this begs this huge question that's going on in the community right now. What are they going to do with Carrie Fisher's character? What are they going to do with Leia in Episode 8? Does she perish in Episode 8? Does she get sent off to another place and we never see her again at the end of Episode 8? But she still is mentioned in Episode 9. How are they going to play this out? As for myself, I personally think that Leia is probably going to perish in Episode 8, and yes, it's going to be hard for fans to take, but you guys got to remember, we are turning things over to the new generation. Leia, Han went in The Force Awakens. Leia is probably going to go in Episode 8, and then Luke will peacefully go in Episode 9, fully transforming into this new generation of Star Wars. But again, these are just my thoughts. How do you guys think that Colin Trevorrow is going to handle Princess Leia in Episode 9? So guys, that's going to do it for today's news. Make sure you guys leave all of your thoughts and opinions down below in the great white void, and let's get the conversation going. As for channel updates, if you guys want to see a great interview with Colin Trevorrow, check out Chris Stuckman's latest video. Sarah Fett has been featuring some great unboxings you don't want to miss. Star Wars Media has got an awesome Star Wars Battlefront 2 podcast up. Generation Tech has got a very intriguing theory about Obi-Wan and Padme's secret relationship. And of course, if you need your Star Wars news over the weekend, don't forget about Jedi Council over on Collider Videos. Well, troops, that's going to do it for today's news. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please be sure to leave a like down below, because just the simple act of hitting that like button really helps this channel out a lot. And don't forget about MakingStarWars.net and StarWarsNewsNet.com for all of the amazing information that they provide. And as always, until next we meet, stay in a galaxy far, far away.